No sugar in my kitchen, no lies in my tray. A 7-Up cake shining bright like a ray, with cream on top and berries so fine.
Hi, welcome back to Meaty-B's Recipes. 4th of July is right around the corner, and I've been looking forward to barbecuing and hanging out with family, celebrating our country. I love my country, I love fireworks, and I love to eat. Unfortunately, I have diabetes, which makes it difficult, especially when it comes to dessert. They do sell sugar-free cake mix now, and I was super excited about it, and I bought a couple. The worst churro ever, like, just bad. I don't get it, and I've talked to other people, they say the same thing. So today I'll be making my own dessert, and I'll be using patriotic colors. You may have heard of it. It's called the 7-Up cake. I'll be using 0 sugar 7-Up. I recommend cake flour. You could use all-purpose flour, but it will come out more dense and rubbery. It's based off of a pound cake recipe, so you'll need 3 sticks of butter, 5 eggs, and I like it to be lemony, so I'll also have the zest of 1 lemon, 1 teaspoon of lemon extract, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. The lemon is optional. You could likewise make this into an orange cake using orange soda and orange zest and extract. I'll need 3/4 of a cup of the 7-Up, and then 3 cups of a sugar blend, any of your favorite lower calorie or sugar substitute. I like to mix stevia with erythritol and allulose together. To me, it tastes the most like sugar, and they're least likely to make me a hiesti or Cloney Spoli. You'll need an oven, and you'll need something to cook them in. This recipe is designed for a bundt cake pan. It'll make a full bundt cake. You need to butter and flour this. So we do have some flour and reserved butter for the baking vessel. If you do it in the bundt cake pan, you're going to want to bake it at 325 degrees for about 70 minutes. You can likewise do it in a cupcake pan if you want to make individual desserts. For that, it would be, I believe, 350 for 15 minutes. I saw some recipes that said 425. I don't usually do muffins or cupcakes, so I'm not too sure. You can also use 2 bread loaf pans, and this will give you that traditional pound cake look. But what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to use these donut pans. It'll fit perfectly into the container I plan on serving the dessert in. And also, this is quite a big recipe. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to half it. So what I plan on doing is freezing the remaining cakes. I'm only going to need 4. This recipe will probably make about a dozen donuts, and each serving will be 2. Also going to need a packet of 0 sugar instant jello, and along with that, it requires 2 cups of milk. They recommend low fat, non-fat milk. And I'll be using a little fruit. I got some nice strawberries and blueberries here, red, white, and blue. For the holiday, look at these. It's the perfect time of year for these. You know, just beautiful color. I'm sure they're delicious. And you might be surprised that I'm using fruit. Berries in general are diabetic friendly. Blueberries only have 10 ounces of sugar. 10 grams of sugar per ounce. It's about a half a cup. And strawberries have even less. They only have 5 ounces. They're packed with fiber, full of antioxidants and other stuff that's beneficial. And they help you, with any sweet cravings you may have. You also need a little bit of sugar of the sugar blend to macerate the berries in. And I'll be using this old blender to do everything instead of my KitchenAid. It has a smaller bowl, and I want to do an experiment. I hear you could turn this 0 added sugar creamer into whipped cream. I have my doubts. I think it might be too potent, too sweet, too strong, but I want to try it, so I'll do it in here. And as a backup, I just have some whipped cream in a can. So I'll get things going. You do need your butter and eggs to be at room temperature, and so I'll see you guys back in a few after I've prepped everything. One thing I'd like to mention, I considered just cooking 2 cans of that down, of the 7-Up down, thinking, you know, more flavor and I wouldn't have to use the sugar blend. But I realized there's no leavener in this recipe. I think they're using the bubbles that are already in the soda to help act as a leavening agent. So probably not a good idea to cook it down. If you do, you could potentially just blend your eggs until they're extra frothy, and then gently fold in the flour. But that might be for another time. I'm gonna do it the way it's recommended this time. Okay, I got the butter and the sugar blend that I prefer into the bowl. I just wanted to take a quick second to talk about the different sweeteners. They all have their benefits, they all have their minuses. This stuff is quick and easy. It would be really simple to just add some lemon extract and lemon zest to here, but for my body, every time I've had it, I just spent all day cleaning out backlogs and adding mud to the beaver dam. Xylitol is a popular sweetener. I don't really care for it. It makes the food taste, it leaves like a cold aftertaste in the mouth, and especially if you're cooking something like cookies. Both erythritol and xylitol, the cookies come out with a strange texture. It's not so prevalent in cakes and stuff, but too much xylitol also bothers me. You know, I end up laying so much heat that it makes the walls sweat. So allulose and stevia, especially stevia, are less likely to do this. Monk fruit is also a very popular sweetener. I personally don't care for the taste, especially the aftertaste. It has quite a strong aftertaste to me. Some people say they don't taste it, but any artificial sweetener that you can tolerate will work. It just beware that they may cause some gastric distress, so you might want to try these recipes out when you don't plan on being anywhere. You know, try them out at home. Don't take them to a party and ruin the party. I've seen it happen. Luckily I didn't do it, but so I think it's funny, but I'm sure the person that brought those treats and sent everybody home early felt pretty bad about herself. So I got the butter and sweetener in here. Gotta do what's called creaming the butter. You basically just let it go, give it a little assistance, and you have to let the crystals from the sugar kind of punch their way into the fat of the butter, and it goes from looking like sand to basically looking like buttercream cake frosting. You don't want to rush this process. They're baking, it's almost like doing chemistry, and yeah, there's shortcuts, but a lot of the time the shortcuts will alter the outcome of your product. So it's best just to let the machine do the work. You could do this by hand. Hopefully you have a mixer, a KitchenAid or a hand mixer, some sort of mixer. But in general, you want to let it go about 5 minutes. And like I said, it'll turn a nice buttery color, a light butter color, and it'll look a lot like buttercream icing. So I'll see you guys back in a bit. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. As you can see, it's nice and creamed, very fluffy. You could just throw everything into the bowl and mix it together and you'll get cake, but even adding the ingredients in the correct order kind of matters for the best end result. So now I'll switch it back to low, medium, and I'll add the eggs one at a time, or hopefully one at a time. You may notice on a lot of my other videos I kind of rush things. I'll say do this for 3 minutes and then it's like 30 seconds. Regular cooking is a lot more forgiving, but with baking I tend to follow the rules a lot better, because I've had stuff come out like just weird, you know, like I'll put the baking soda in before the flour and it just completely changes the outcome of the dessert. The reason you want to do the eggs one at a time is that if you do them quickly, you run the risk of the liquids and the fats separating, and it kind of ruins the whole thing. I've never had it happen, and I do tend to rush it, but I'm sure they say it could happen for a reason. I don't doubt that it does happen, and you know, 5 eggs, 3 sticks of butter, 3 cups of sweetener, that's a lot to throw out. Especially artificial sweetener, you know, this stuff's like $7 a pound. It's not nowhere near the price of regular sugar. Let's scrape the sides down a little bit. That's looking real nice. I can hear that the sugar hasn't quite dissolved all the way. It really never does. It doesn't mix well with water either. It'll melt as it cooks. That's the other benefit of cooking them in the donut pans. Instead of baking them at 325, I'll be baking them at 350, and that gives the sugars a better chance of melting. Some people say to do it at 400, but for this recipe I'm hoping the more gentle cook is okay. So I'll start adding the flour and the soda into the mixture in stages, starting with the flour. I'll do about a third of the flour, then half the soda, a third of the flour, half the soda, and then the rest of the flour. And I'll scrape down the sides as I go. Make sure to get all the flour incorporated. This will be a bit thicker of a batter than a typical, like if you use the box cake. And it will be a denser end product, but it's going to be very flavorful. And it'll stand up. It's not going to crumble as easy. You know, another way to do this, if you cook it in the butt cake pan, you would just cut this up into cubes. So I'll continue to add and we'll be back. Okay, everything's about mixed in. You don't want to do this forever. If you overmix the batter, you're risking a dense, tough cake. So that's the lemon zest. About a teaspoon of vanilla. about a teaspoon of lemon extract, and oh, it smells awesome. I love any citrus and vanilla combination. That's it. Everything's well incorporated, and we'll get it into the pans and into the oven. Okay, my oven's heated up to 350. I got my batter into a 1 gallon Ziploc. I'm going to cut off the end and pipe them basically into my donut trays. Normally you only want to fill these trays a little bit over halfway. I'm going to fill them close to the top because I do want it to slightly cook over the whole part. And while I fill them, I'm going to try my whipped cream experiment, see how that goes. So I got a half a cup of creamer here. We'll just add that to the blender, and we'll let that run. And I'll pipe in the batter. So I have my pan more or less filled, and now you could either kind of tap them down, or you could wet a finger and help put them into shape. I kind of do both. And if you see a pan that needs more, just add to it. And as you can see, I used about half my batter. Like I said, I do want them pretty full. So, give them a tap and a spread. And these will be going into the oven. It hasn't been that long, but it's been long enough that this should have frothed up by now. It hasn't even pretended to froth up. So yeah, I'm calling BS on that. That doesn't work. So I will use this for my coffee. But luckily I bought that other 0-calorie creamer. You could just buy heavy cream and add a little stevia, liquid stevia or liquid Splenda to it as well. Or the powdered Splenda would dissolve quickly if you eat Splenda. A lot of people don't care for it. So this first batch will go into the oven, and then I'll do probably 1.5 more batches, and we'll be back. Like I said, it should take about 10 minutes. Well, I'm sorry, 12 minutes for the first batch. I lied. I don't have the patience to do a bunch of batches, and like I said, I only need to make a few desserts. I realized that I could just as easily cut a bundt loaf, a pound cake loaf into half and freeze that as well. It'd probably freeze better. So I'm gonna put the remaining batter into these bread pans. I'm hoping one will do. And I'm just gonna bake it that way. So yeah, like it'll be a full pan, but I should be able to squeeze it into one. It will overflow a little. Hopefully not overflow, but it will cook all the way to the top. This is quite full. But as soon as those donuts pan ones are done, I'll put that into the oven at 325 for about an hour. So I baked them for 6 minutes, and then I rotated them, and at 12 minutes the toothpick was still looking a little wet, so I let them go another 2 minutes, so a total of 14 minutes. Now I'm going to let them stay in the donut pan for 5 minutes, and then I'll flip them out onto the cooling racks and let them cool completely. While I'm waiting for my pound cake donuts to cool, I decided to macerate my berries. I took a cup of blueberries and about a cup of the less attractive, let's say, looking strawberries, and I cut them up into semi-small pieces. I've already added a teaspoon of lemon juice. You could add a little more, but you know, I have a lot of lemon going on in this dish already. And you could also have added a little more lemon zest, but I'm going to keep it simple. You can add a heaping teaspoon of your sweetener blend of choice. This is to taste. You do have to add enough for it to kind of interact with the fruit, with the berries. And to my taste, a teaspoon is usually about right. If you want it sweeter, add more. If you want, you could try adding less. Not a measured teaspoon, like just a regular teaspoon you'd stir your coffee with, a heaping one. Once they're all mixed up, you want to let them set for at least 15 minutes. Up to an hour is better. And if you don't use them within an hour, then you just pop them in the fridge. I'm going to see what the blueberries do. I have a feeling they're not going to react the same to the artificial sweetener that regular blueberries do. I don't think it will draw out the water like regular sugar is hydrophilic. It likes water. So I may have to give these a little smush. I'll just use the measuring cup and press down on them. But I'll let it go for the 15 minutes and see what happens. It's been a little over 5 minutes. My pans are still pretty warm, but cool enough to handle. And my donut's stuck. It's a non-stick pan. And I buttered and floured them. But yeah, they're not behaving. So I will get a small spatula and kind of go around the edges, but I'm gonna give a little bit of the skin that's stuck a taste and see how they taste. It tastes pretty good. Not as sweet as a regular cake. The artificial sweetener is only about 70% as sweet, but by the time we add the pudding, the fruit, and the whipped topping, they'll be plenty sweet. This right now, it's somewhere between an angel food cake and a pound cake level of sweetness. So yeah, I'll get a little rubber spatula or silicone spatula and pry those others out of the pan. I'll be right back. Well, I more or less got them out undamaged. A couple of them, as you can see, got pretty beat up. I lost patience and just wanted them out after a certain point. I'm not sure if it's because I left them in the pans too long. I left them for about 10 minutes while I washed and prepared the fruit. Or it could be the erythritol. I do have a little that cooling sensation. And they were kind of crusty, like, pound cake usually doesn't have a crunch. And like I said, when I've used erythritol on cookies, it makes them extremely hard. So maybe an allulose Splenda sweetener would be a better choice. This is what was available. This is what I used. They're going to be covered up with fruit and pudding and whipped topping anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'll just put the ugly ones on the bottom, and they'll get covered up. It does taste good, and that's the risk of trying out something new. Sometimes it doesn't work. I wanted to recreate my favorite 4th of July dessert, but in a diabetes-friendly manner. And even though some unexpected things happened, I think it's still going to be a successful dessert. We eat our mistakes, and it's kind of par for the course. For some reason, every video I've made so far, I've run into unexpected obstacles, but I hope I'm learning. My learning is helping you learn as well, and hopefully you won't run into these speed bumps. But I'm going to go ahead and assemble, and you get to see the finished product. Like I said, it still tastes good, and I still consider it successful, even with it not being as attractive as I had hoped. Yeah, the blueberries behaved kind of the way I expected them to. After 15 minutes, they hadn't masticated at all, so I kind of just smashed them with a spoon, and you can see now they've made a nice, almost like a syrup. The strawberries did what they're supposed to do. This has only been 15 minutes. After an hour, it's going to be even more delicious liquid in there. But I'm ready to assemble. So the first less attractive piece goes down. When I made my pudding, I did add a couple of tablespoons extra of milk, about 1/8 of a cup. I want it thin. I don't want to be having just a big solid pudding. I want to be able to just kind of drizzle it in here. Just makes everything easier and tastes the same. So give that a drizzle. Add on some strawberries. Try to kind of keep them in the middle. Add the second layer. Give it another drizzle. Add some blueberries with a little bit of that delicious juice. Top it with some Cool Whip or whipped topping, and then just decorate with some sliced strawberries and a few blueberries. There you have my favorite red, white, and blue 4th of July dessert. It's very similar to an English trifle. It's cool, refreshing, great for the summer, and these berries are at their peak right now. So hope you try it, hope you enjoy it. Thank you for watching. Please check out my other videos if you like this one, and hopefully I could be continuing to provide you with some knowledge and entertainment. Thanks again. Bye-bye. As I'm tearing into this, I thought I should mention that if you don't have the donut pan, then you just cook a pound cake or in the loaf pan or in the nut pan. You just, after it cools, chop your cake up into about 1-inch cubes. Layer them on the bottom, add your pudding, and then fruit, and then repeat. And it comes out especially good in a glass dish, because you'll see all the layers. You'll see the layers of strawberries, you'll see the layers of blueberries, you'll see the almost white cake. So yeah, this is excellent. I could hardly tell that it's sugar-free. Like if someone served this to me and didn't tell me, I might ask, just because like I said, it has a slight cooling taste from the erythritol, but I mean, who doesn't want to be cooled off on a hot day? Delicious, very delicious.
I'm not a hezzy, not a clam, yeah, but this cake's got me feeling hearty. A burst of berries with a touch of cream, living the sweet life in a diabetic dream. No chore tonight, just pretend it's alright. Red, white, and blue, it's a patriotic bite for the like